Whereas NFL fans typically dissect their favorite team's schedule with a fine-tooth comb when it's released, broadcasters do the same, but with their network schedule. Going into the season, there's always some uncertainty over how a schedule can play out. Last year, for instance, Fox was dealt an unfortunate amount of blowouts thanks to its Dallas Cowboys heavy schedule taking a hit after Dak Prescott's season-ending injury. At the same time, CBS enjoyed a Kansas City Chiefs heavy schedule and benefited from the team's propensity to play in close games. In other words, predicting how a network schedule is going to play out before the season starts is a complete crapshoot. Add in that the NFL can flex games and the league's Sunday afternoon partners can switch up their featured games based on which teams actually turn out to be good, and forecasting what an NFL broadcast schedule looks like mid-season becomes a pretty fruitless endeavor. That didn't stop CBS Sports' lead NFL voice, Jim Nantz, from weighing in on what, in his estimation, CBS needs to do to replicate its success from last season. For Nantz, it boils down to one team: the Pittsburgh Steelers. CBS could air as many as 6 Steelers games in the final 7 weeks of the season, according to Nantz. With that kind of exposure, the network is certainly banking on one Aaron Rodgers having a bit of a career resurgence in the black and gold. Just looking at our schedule, which is loaded, but it's very Pittsburgh back-heavy at the end of the year. That's important to us, Nantz said. Can the Aaron Rodgers signing, and I think it's going to work out. I think Aaron, I know this is like the momentum. I'm going against the popular viewpoint of what happened with the Jets. It was better than people gave him credit for by a lot. There's a chance at the end of the year if they're good because we can always switch out of it. The way the schedule was handed out to us, we could have the Steelers come late November, 6 out of 7 weeks. That includes games against Chicago. We have a game against Detroit, national doubleheader game, got a Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. We could see Pittsburgh a lot if they're good. So that's the biggest question I have. Is it going to work? As we're sitting here today, I believe it's going to work. Generally speaking, the Steelers are a pretty safe bet to be relevant late in the year, so it makes sense for the schedule makers to want to feature them heavily when the postseason chase is on. Whether the team will be playing an exciting and entertaining brand of football is a different question entirely. In recent years, the Steelers have tended to play low-scoring, grind-it-out type of games. When the team's ball control strategy doesn't work, games can often get out of hand quickly and result in blowouts, which, for television networks, means lower ratings. Nantz and CBS would certainly benefit from a resurgent Pittsburgh Steelers team behind a star quarterback like Rodgers. But luckily, the network will have the flexibility to highlight other games if the team falls off the rails late in the season. As the Pittsburgh Steelers continue the week of practice, the preseason is slowly reaching its end. The club has a Thursday matchup with the Carolina Panthers on the docket, which will be the last stepping stone until week 1 of the regular season. As far as the most recent practice was concerned, the Panthers game took a back seat. All eyes were on the ongoing contract saga between the Steelers and star defensive lineman Cameron Hayward. Pittsburgh got a bit of good and bad news on that front on Tuesday. Steelers DL Cameron Hayward returns to practice on Tuesday. The best part of the Steelers' early week stretch is Hayward returned to practice in full capacity. It's his first time working in pads in just under 2 weeks. Speaking to the media following practice, head coach Mike Tomlin confirmed that Hayward did both individual and team drills on Tuesday. He also participated in teamwork as well, Tomlin said. When asked to follow up about whether anything has changed on the contract front, Tomlin deferred. "You have to ask him," Tomlin said. Earlier this month, Hayward cited his contract value compared to other defensive players at his position as the reason for his hold-in. He believes he isn't making what he's worth. "It's hard for me, after the year that I had, to really justify playing at the number I'm playing at," Hayward said. "I understand I signed a contract last year. But to be completely honest with you, when I signed that, I told them, when I have an all-pro year, expect me to come back." I think everybody kind of giggled a little bit. But in my head, I used it as motivation to go out there and prove it. The problem is Hayward is just 1 year into a 3-year pact. He's set to account for cap numbers of over $19 million in 2025 and 2026. Those will be his age, 36, and age, 37 seasons. Only time will tell if his 2024 Pro Bowl and All-Pro campaign will lead to this situation being resolved. Ideally, Both sides figure things out, and Hayward doesn't miss practice or regular season time. Hayward and multiple other Pittsburgh starters won't play in preseason finale. Despite his return to work in a larger scale, Hayward won't play on Thursday. Tomlin said he, pass rusher TJ Watt, quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and wideout DK Metcalf will watch from the sideline. As far as playing time, there are really 4 guys that I'm not considering playing: Cam, TJ, Aaron, and DK, Tomlin said. Everyone else is under consideration. They're preparing as if they're going to play. There are a lot of variables in it, who's playing for Carolina, and things of that nature, that might provide worthy competition. But as I sit here today, all healthy outside of the 4 that I mentioned are preparing and scheduled to play. We'll get to the stadium and we'll see what's happening on the other side, and we may alter that in some ways. Tomlin does want this starting secondary to get some work in, largely because of how difficult it is to replicate chemistry and communication in games. There are too many moving pieces for everyone to sit idle to end the preseason. I'm hopeful that we get an opportunity to play, particularly in the secondary, Tomlin said. I'm not worried about the overall readiness of the collective, but I just think cohesion is such a major component of what they do. The ability to communicate in stadium, it's the same reason why our young offensive front has been working. Roster construction remains the most pressing matter for the Steelers. Hayward's contract dispute is a not-so-distant second, however, as the preseason winds down. The Pittsburgh Steelers are full steam ahead with the Aaron Rodgers project for the 2025 season, but the front office is likely hard at work trying to figure out what the plan is going to be once the future Hall of Famer quarterback retires. The Indianapolis Colts may have thrown the Steelers a major bone on Tuesday morning, as they decided to essentially bring an end to the Anthony Richardson era when Shane Steichen declared former New York Giants bust Daniel Jones as the team's Week 1 starting quarterback. Richardson will likely have suitors on the open market, as his incredibly strong arm and physical tools, coupled with the fact that he remains relatively untapped in terms of his long-term potential, could create quite a healthy collection of suitors. The Steelers have more than enough picks to send Indianapolis' way in order to secure a trade for number 5. The Steelers could give up a few late-round picks to Indianapolis, buy low on Richardson, and possibly strike gold as they try to find a replacement for Rodgers after the 2025 season. This Steelers-Colts trade brings quarterback Anthony Richardson to Pittsburgh. Richardson is barely completing over 50% of his passes and has more interceptions and passing touchdowns in his career, but this was expected due to how raw of a prospect he was at Florida. While it feels like he's been put through the ringer in the pros, he is still just 23 years old, which puts him on par with some of the top prospects in the 2026 QB class. Richardson has one of the strongest arms in the NFL, and his 4.4 140-yard dash shows up on film. While he has some issues with diagnosing defenses pre-snap, he has a penchant for pulling off incredibly impressive throws deep down the field. Think of him as Justin Fields, albeit less accurate and a bit thicker. If Rodgers lives up to expectations, Pittsburgh is likely not going to have a high enough draft pick to replace him with one of the top players in the 2026 class. Richardson will also be going to Arthur Smith, who has made quite a career out of designing offenses that can take advantage of mobile quarterbacks. Richardson is a risk, and it could blow up in Pittsburgh's face like it did with Indianapolis, but the sky-high talent ceiling that Richardson's abilities offer him could be reached with the right coaching around him.